Gentleman yields back. The gentlelady is recognized. Gentleman from New York is recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to just reiterate, this is really a simple issue, and there may be attempts to distract from what is a simple issue, but the Inspector General office indicated that we had $78 billion in fraudulent claims. That's an estimate. Some estimates range as high as $200 billion. It seems silly to me that we wouldn't take advantage of those dollars which are being reclaimed to continue to try to get relief for the many, many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of restaurants and their employees across the country. And I dare say that when I talk to restaurants, I've sat down with many, many restaurant owners the last several months who had made application and simply didn't have the resources in the fund that we had allocated to get relief, continue to talk to me about this. So this is really a very, very simple question. I know there's a lot of complicated, nuanced questions around here in Congress that we're always dealing with, but this is a simple one. Do we want to help these small businesses, or do we choose not to help them? And I think we would argue here that they very much deserve and merit this support. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to yield 3 minutes to the gentlewoman from North Carolina, another distinguished member of the Rules Committee, my friend, Ms. Ross.
Gentlewoman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you so much to Congressman Morelli. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to highlight the urgent need for additional relief for our restaurants. Since the COVID-19 pandemic began, restaurants in my district and across the country have been at the front line of our battle against COVID-19. The Restaurant Revitalization Fund offered a vital lifeline at a time when restaurants desperately needed our help. However, the funds quickly ran out, leaving hundreds of thousands of restaurants without any relief, including in my state of North Carolina. In a cruel twist, many restaurants were approved for funding, but never saw a dime. For example, Kim Hammer, who owns Bittersweet in Raleigh, was approved for a grant by the Small Business Association. Despite this, Kim still hasn't received any relief and said it feels like no one is listening. Well, we're listening. Every time a new variant emerges and cases surge, the survival of countless restaurants is thrown into jeopardy. As I hear from restaurant owners in my district, they all tell me how essential the restaurant relief program was, but that it simply was not enough. During the peak surge of the Omicron variant, Chidi Kumar, the owner of Garland Restaurant in Raleigh, said she just hoped she could keep the doors open for both her customers and for her staff. Jennifer Kramer, the owner of Catalan Tapas restaurant in Cary, had to start a GoFundMe campaign to keep her lights on and her employees on payroll. Mr. Speaker, our fight against this pandemic is not over. It is unacceptable that we would leave the restaurant industry out to dry. Restaurants contribute to the spirit, vibrancy, and success of my community in Wake County, North Carolina, and many communities all across this nation. I urge my colleagues to support the rule and the underlying legislation and replenish this fund. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.